And we are live. Welcome, one and all, to the MIRTH Web Show. My name is David Batterina, and for the next hour, I will be your host through the mayhem and insanity of exploring all things creativity. This show exists to help you, the creator, connect with fans, friends, and peers by showcasing not just your work, but your brain, your creative process, and your personality. We are streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays, typically. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. And over the next hour, expect some deep conversation, some lighthearted fun, and prying open the creative brain of my very special guest, Mr. Len Berry. Len, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing fantastic.
It's good. That's what we're looking for.
Good.
So we're here. We're good to go. And I figured let's have a little bit of fun tonight and get through some of these things and some lighthearted convo, because I noticed in your bio that you mentioned both X-Men and video games. And I'm like, sweet, because I grew up on X-Men and video games. So I'm definitely eager to kind of dig into some of those and see, just see what I'm really curious about characters that you like in X-Men, storylines you like, all that kind of stuff, because I have
people are going to hate me.
I have my favorite that will remain unnamed until for a big reveal. I've got my stack of old like 90s X-Men. That's kind of when I was really 80s, 90s was when I was into it mostly. But I always had my favorites. So the first thing I want to do, though, is what I do with quite literally everybody that comes on this stream, which is ask you a very, very important question. Time to nerd out. That's right, Jeremy. Greetings, sir.
Believe me, I'm going to take care of that.
We got this. We've got the nerding out covered. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is the first thing that I ask everybody that comes on the show, which is, if you were forced to travel in either a homemade hot air balloon or a janky submarine, which one would you choose?
Hot air balloon.
Oh, see, and he was quick. Jesse, you almost missed it. Just the hot air balloon was right away.
Yeah.
Why not the sub?
All right. One, the sub, I can swim, and swimming is fine. And I've flown before, and flying is fine. But a janky hot air balloon, I can kind of control. But that sub, if it goes down, I'm crushed as soon as it goes pop.
All right. I mean, what was it? Jesse put up this meme on Facebook or something, and it was about the hot air balloon, and it was just like this: we can't steer it. We're at the mercy of the wind. Just hang on while I start this flamethrower. And I'm like, you know what? Yes. Like I'm so out on hot air balloons. I am team sub all the way, because I figured if I'm deep enough and it does collapse, it's over before I can realize that it's over, and like I'm fine. And like I'm fish food. I'm okay with that. Just right back to the environment. I just don't like the idea of the Earth speeding at me at terminal velocity. Like that makes me uncomfortable for whatever reason.
There's always wind drafts. There's still hope.
I know, like a flying squirrel. I could just
it's like hey, I know flying squirrels. I used to study under a guy who was actually a master in the field.
Oh, that's excellent. All right. I don't think I can do that, but like,
I can't do that anyway. So I write books.
Yeah. My weight ratio and like it doesn't really, it's not a thing for flight. All right. Your team, you are one of the team hot air balloons. That's honestly, it's most people. I think there's just 3 of us now that are in the submarine. And but let me ask you some this or that questions, just some random stuff. We're going to go for about a minute. It's our quick way of just getting to know you on some random stuff, right?
Sure.
So here we go. I'm going to just like a rough timer here, and let's go. UFOs or Bigfoot?
UFOs.
Oppressive heat or bone-chilling cold?
Oh, oppressive heat.
Gross. Board games or video games?
Believe it or not, board games.
Oh, all right. Surprise there for me. Yep. Let's go horror or comedy?
Horror.
All right. Let's see. Do you enjoy 80s movies?
Yes.
All right. Sandlot or Better Off Dead?
Ooh,
that's a good one, right? Yeah.
Better Off Dead.
Yes. That's the right answer. Definitely. Let's go. Elves or dwarves?
Dwarves.
Portal to Another World or Parallel Universe?
Another World.
It is. Let's go with AI overlords or alien invasion?
Alien invasion.
Yes. Own a castle or own a tank?
Tank.
Good choice. Definitely. And let's do like three more. Polka or death metal?
Death metal.
Death metal it is. Let's go a haunted house or enchanted forest?
Enchanted forest.
Okay, last one. Never listen to music again or only able to listen to kids bops?
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the gun with one bullet? I think that's the only correct answer.
You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And greetings. Sam is hanging out with us. Hello, sir. We're almost at the 4-month mark since you were on the first episode, Sam, which is pretty awesome. And also just noticing, yeah, so the comments from X coming through, which is pretty cool too. I did not realize that was a thing. That's fantastic. And yes, I agree. Why not both? Polka death metal. It should be a thing. I'm sure it's a thing.
If anybody can make it happen, it's Mr. Weird Al Yankovic. Both his parodies and his polkas are quite fantastic.
They are quite fantastic. His whole 90s medley that he did was like, it's one of my favorites ever.
Oh, I love it.
It hit all of my favorite songs from that era. Yeah, definitely. So so that's good. Gets us a little bit of a get to know you on all these things. And what I'll do now, Len, is give you the floor for 30 seconds or so and just introduce yourself, pitch whatever you want to pitch or whatever, where we can find you, and just like what you like and what you do. Floor is yours.
Oh, the floor is mine. Well, I'm standing well above the floor and there's lots of cloud cover. I'm Len Berry. I am the writer of Ethereal Darkness. My stories are mean. They're cruel. They're nasty. They will beat you up. They will take your lunch money and then pelt you upside the head with it. And then you'll find a glimmer of hope. And proof of that is I am bringing with me my mascot today. He sells more books for me than I do. His name is Akito the Red Panda. Oh, nice. He is twice as popular as me on Instagram. Seriously, I spent $20 on him. I've made more than $20 in book sales because of it. So I'm a fun person. I am a complex person. I mean, everybody's complex. I can talk about just about anything if you really want me to, and then you'll wish you hadn't.
That's all right. Well, we'll see about that when we get into X-Men talk.
I'm
real curious to dig in. And but first, so the one thing I really like to dig on here, and I love talking to other authors about this, is just to understand their creative process. We are also very, very unique in how we work, what we do, and all those different things. So it's been really fascinating digging into everybody. We are on episode 30 right now. So there's been a lot, and I'm starting to see some patterns. And so I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everybody that comes on, which is when I say the phrase creative process, what does that mean to Len Berry, and what does it look like?
Okay, so creative process to me it's a handful of things. My brain works like it's a giant soup pot, or maybe there's an oven with like 3 or 4 going. And I will have insane things that don't go together start going together.
Okay.
My latest release, it took me a while. I mean, at first I was describing it in my very calm way of like, well, it's space Romans versus future Amazons. It's like, oh, that's a nice way to describe it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go out and say it's Dune for trans girls.
Okay.
And people are like, okay, tell me more. Like, okay, well, I'll be more upfront about it. It's both of those things, but I've got one that I'm working on now is, wait for it, a biopunk magical girl book.
Okay.
Right. So instead of waving a wand around to get magical powers, they're popping pills, and it looks like it's cyberpunk stuff, except they're getting magical girl powers.
Gotcha. So where do these ideas generate from for you? Because a lot of people describe it as kind of like you were saying with like a soup. A lot of people describe it as just like this kind of whirlwind and things are coming, and it's just like, that's interesting. I'll just grab that one.
No, I'm a firm believer of weird things have to collide.
Okay.
The first book I released it started out, I was trying to come up with ideas for a short story. This is the first book I released, not the first book I wrote.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'm getting this idea generation thing, and it's turned into a girl hiding in her grandpa's house, Anne Frank style, from an oppressive government. I don't know if I want to write that book.
Right.
Okay. So I started my process again, asking myself questions. All right, I'll figure out the completely different thing. All right. Hey, let's do a murder mystery. See, that's as far away as possible from that whatever I was thinking stuff.
Right.
And then what kind of thing? Hey, what kind of place it could be a dystopic kind of place. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. It could be about genetic controls. Yeah.
Right.
Wild genetic controls. And then what are they going to be at? All right. So, let's see. They're going to do this, and they might be after this, and maybe there's like a teenage character around, or maybe early college age, and it might be after the grandpa because of something that was invented, and certain things. And oh crap! I just ran into the story I thought of 10 minutes ago.
Right.
It's literally both of those things became smashed together and became the same book.
Nice. Yeah. Look, I get it. Sometimes the ideas loop back around for sure.
Yep.
It's like your own internal feedback loop with your subconscious, which is kind of wild.
Oh yeah.
I'm just fascinated by the way our brains work in terms of storytelling, coming up with these things. And a lot of times, like, obviously, we always hear that advice, like, write what you know, right? But the thing is, I don't think it's possible to really undo that with somebody, because I think we all write from our experiences, from things that we've been through, from things that we've done, like all that kind of stuff. So no matter what, that's going to weave its way into the story somehow. But it's like you said, let's just throw some other weird stuff at it and see what happens. And I'm totally like, that's for sure. Do you have a preferred, like, I say preferred genre because like you write cross genre basically. So, but like something that you're most comfortable in terms of like the world that you're writing in.
I like to say that it's probably science fiction.
Okay.
But people who have beta read my work would probably say, oh hell no, it's the dark fantasy.
Okay.
So there's interesting things going on in both of those realms, and they do function differently. It's just that a lot of times science fiction has been used as commentary on the modern world. And fantasy has been just kind of used as a nostalgia escape. And now I wonder sometimes if fantasy can be used as the commentary.
Right.
So that's one of the things that fuels my notion. All right. So you like a further example is you asked about dwarves and elves earlier.
Yeah.
See, my thought on elves is elves should not be pointy. If they're going to be pointy eared, I want them like Deedlit.
Okay.
From Lotus War. I mean, I want pointy ears out to here. I want them full on. I do not want to be beautiful and long live for beautiful and long live's sake. They should actually be terrible archers. You know who would be a great archer in fantasy? A dwarf. They've got the build for it. They have the muscle structure for it. One of my favorite movie facts is that there's only one properly built archer in cinema, and it's Rambo.
You know what? Actually, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Think about an archer's job way back in the day.
Oh, man.
Rambo.
Look, I had the VHS tape, and the amount of times we tried to slow it down to watch the guy blow up, or the mannequin, as it were. One of my favorite scenes ever, when he's just, and also just as a little callback to the whole polka death metal thing, the spoof in UHF that Weird Al did of that scene was so brilliant, where the guy's right in front of him and just like, and he's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I love it. What a great movie. But that is interesting. Yeah. So I guess physically the elves would probably, maybe not as well suited. Look, the trope is a trope, right? I like, that's just it's the elf stereotype that we're all just perpetuating.
Well, I mean, you can perpetuate it and write it very well. I just choose to say, hey, you know what the most common weapons are in medieval times? Spears and axes. Let's use those.
Yeah, for sure.
I got sword wielders too. Don't worry.
Of course. So are you do you tend to be a morning writer, an afternoon writer, an evening writer? When do you feel like your creative process is really kicking into high gear for you?
Afternoon. I am an
Really?
afternoon writer. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Uh, I can force myself to do a little morning if I have a good co-writing team,
Okay.
or like people who I'm writing at the same time with. I can
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
evening, but if it's just me on my own power, it's afternoon
Hmm. Has it always been that way?
more often than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it about morning or evening writing that you find it doesn't suit you?
Evening I tend to have like chill out time.
Okay. Yep.
Morning I have I try to eat. I'm trying to give myself ideas for the day.
Right.
Um, and I try to do a Japanese lesson, maybe something else too,
Yep.
kind of like a betterment period. And
Right. So
then,
it's just a different time of day for your brain. Yeah.
yeah,
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 that makes sense. I get that.
yep,
As a morning guy, I can understand it. I can write in the afternoons and things like that. But a lot of times, by the time that afternoon hits, I've just had like all the work nonsense to deal with, and my
right.
brain's just not really like it's not feeling it. So I find that those early morning hours, things are peaceful and quiet, is like a good creative time. But like we're all very different, and
Yeah.
so do you tend to spend a significant amount of like a significant chunk of time working on it, or is it just like 20 minutes here, half hour there, whatever you can get in?
It depends on the day.
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
Like today, I said I'm doing half an hour.
Yep.
And I did half an hour and I started knocking out some cool descriptions on stuff, and my brain committed to an idea that I had before I was started actually writing this book.
Hmm.
So there's a problem for editing, but that's a second draft problem, not a first.
it's,
Uh,
it's a future me issue.
that's a future me issue. Future me can deal with that all the time.
Yeah.
I part of it too is I'm doing independent editing now. So I'm
Hmm.
like, hey, this is the work. This is the job. I'm going to do the job.
Yeah.
I'm going to prime my brain with reading of just my reading. And then I'm going to do the work of reading through for a client. And I'm like, hey, I noticed this. I noticed that. I noticed the other. What it is. I'm trying to be supportive and helpful and understanding that my process is not everybody's.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I feel like, and I've mentioned this before on the show numerous times, just in passing conversation with other people, that I feel like as authors or as creatives, when we try to duplicate somebody else's creative process, it usually ends in misery
Yes.
because you're not that person. You can't work that way. I've tried it so many different times, and I see those like there's videos and all sorts of stuff, and it's like, oh, today we're gonna try and write like someone. We're gonna write like Stephen King today, or write like Terry Pratchett today, or what have you. And it's just I don't see it. And also when people give you that advice where they're like, well, you can't be an author if you don't write 1,000 words a day. Like, well, that's funny.
Yeah.
Because
I got
there's
books on the shelves that say otherwise.
yeah, exactly. I don't think I've had a stretch of 3 days where I've had at least 1,000 words a day just because life and everything else gets in the way. I'll have
Yeah,
that Saturday where I put down 8,000 words. And then I might not
that's a
write
good
for a
day.
week or two, That's a really good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Um,
binge writing is a thing for a reason.
look, but the whole point of this is your creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is wildly different, but we've got books. Like we
Yep.
finished we finished things and they're out there and they're doing okay and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So when did how long ago when you pretty much were putting down your first like full-length novel or first story, when did how long have you been at it for is basically what I'm asking here.
Let's go with novel,
Okay.
because then I just have to do weird things and claim, and it's like,
Yeah. No, I
and
hear
you're
you.
like, all right, kid.
Yeah.
Novel, late 1997,
Okay.
early 1998. I wrote in chunks and out of order, driving many people mad. The first book I ever finished a draft on. And I would like to eventually go back and clean that up again, one last time, just one,
Right.
and put it out into the world, because it was the start of a setting. It was it had cool characters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, question from Jeremy here. So
Mhm.
Len, when you edit, what's your philosophy? I've experienced those who lean toward industry standards, but it stifles the creativity.
Okay. So, uh, one really good way to deal with that, and it's a way I usually do on my Biopuck Magical Girl. I'm not doing it because I wanted to kind of just get it done.
Yep.
What I'll do is I'll do the Dean Wesley Smith cycling method in my own way. Again, doing it my way. I'll write a chunk, maybe an entire scene, toss that sucker in a pro writing aid, and analyze it right after, immediately. No break. Do it right away. Read through, see what it says, tell it that it's full of crap. And then I've got it down where it's like, okay, I can ignore this function and this function and this function. I want to know the grammar. I want to know the syntax. I want to know if I'm overusing words. If I'm using something way too much, I want to make sure that it's readable. And then I want to make sure that I get the senses down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I keep myself fresh. And I will do the similar thing when I'm just doing an editing pass. It's slower when I'm just editing.
Yep.
But if I'm doing it in the moment, yeah, I can get it done and hammered out and say, why am I not this fast this more often?
So you're an edit as you go.
I'm a little bit of an edit as I go. I know I will need a second draft.
Yep. Yeah.
My brain is too crazy
Right.
to get it in one draft. It's just not possible. But my second draft when I start is closer to a 1.5 than it is to a 0.75.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, it's funny because I do it very in a very similar way with Pro Writing Aid. And so, I'll do the I'll get the chapter down, but as I go through it, like I'll write chapter 3, I'm working on chapter 4, but before I start, when I have another writing session, I go back to chapter 3, I reread it. I give myself a timer, like 15 minutes to edit and clean up and just adjust some of the language and everything like that, just to polish it. So it's a little bit, and then I jump back in, finish up chapter 4, start chapter 5. When I go back for the next session and I'm ready to jump into chapter 5, like, with everything I got, I go back to chapter 4, I reread, I do 15 minutes of edits, so on and so forth. And I'll roll through my entire manuscript that way. After that, I go through, then comes the read aloud, and I read the entire book out loud, just to see what I catch and do some edits as I'm going through it and whatever else, but nothing really crazy. It's usually pretty quick. And then they all go into Pro Writing Aid, and it's the same thing, just like what you said. So I'll look at the summary. I'll look at the overused words. I'll look at some of the sticky sentences, make sure the grammar's clean and all that kind of stuff. There's certain things in there that I know I gravitate to. I'll fix them up. I'll go back and rerun the summary just to kind of see where it lands. And then after that, I actually print the entire thing out on paper and I do a hand edit. Because that, to me, when I see it in, 1.5 spacing with like a nice type font, I catch so much that I didn't when it was just on a screen or whatever else. And at that point I turn it in and it's pretty much just clean and done. So, there's different ways certainly to go about it. But that's how I would generally do it too. But man, Pro Writing Aid, honestly, it has improved me as a writer for sure. Just seeing the things that it picks out and shows you. And it's like, yeah, you started 4 sentences with this word or like whatever.
Right. I'm on that now without even having to process it. I'm like, okay, there's 2 thes starting sentences in a row there.
No,
do I really need a third?
It's like hearing my dad yell at me in my head when I'm not getting my oil changed on time on the car. It's the same concept. It's like, I'm doing it. I'm like, Pro Writing Aid's going to yell at me. I got to fix it now. So but that's all right. Is Pro Writing Aid like autocrit? I don't know what autocrit is.
It is similar. It actually does a lot of the same functions. Different people running it. It performs a lot of the same thing. I fooled around with autocrit a while back. And I said, yeah, this is a really good thing. And then I go, I have a lifetime to Pro Writing Aid. Why do I need to buy another one?
Yeah.
And
Love
That's
it as
okay.
grammar help. Tell it to go to hell for a lot of the other functions. Look, and I agree with that too.
Hey,
For sure. I have the ones that I look at, and then the other ones I'm like, I don't need it. I'm going to be
just
sitting there
because you
looking at it
look,
forever.
yeah, just because you look at a function does not mean you obey said function.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I tend to write, a lot of slang and whatnot within dialogue and pro writing agents. Like
Yes.
I'm just like, can you just leave if it's in the quotes, just leave it alone. Like, I don't even want
Yeah.
you to look at it. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's like, I intended to do it that way. No, and I get it. So let me ask you this. Are you do you consider yourself plotter? Are you an outliner? Or do you just fully just like pants it and go from there? Rough outlines? Like, where are you on that spectrum?
I'm a planner, not a plotter.
Okay.
Uh, I have to know where it's going.
Yes.
If I don't know where it's going, I barely ever start. Even if it's a broad strokes where it's going, I got to know something.
Yeah.
And it's got to be toward the end. It can't be the middle and fix it later. No, it's got to be at the end.
Right.
I wish I was more of an outliner just so I could get more done with dictation. Again, I have this nice microphone here so I can do dictation.
Yep.
And dictation's a really good tool. The next sci-fi series that I start writing, I bought this thing so that I could use it for that, and I'm going to need it.
Nice. Yep. Yeah. So you'll dictate, have it do the text, and then edit afterwards and that kind of stuff.
If I dictate, I must edit after. There is no choice. It's just because dictation, I'm not going to tell it to do commas and periods and quotation marks.
Yeah.
I struggle to get the damn thing to go to a new line.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people that swear by it.
It's cool stuff. I'm going to use it. But if I'm doing that, I must commit to immediately editing thereafter. Yeah. So I don't get to do that with my current work in progress. But if I'm doing a story on the side, like I've got a half-finished future noir kind of short story.
Right.
I wrote it by dictating.
Oh, neat.
And I enjoyed the process. I just didn't have the details up planned enough. And then the deadline I was hoping to meet kind of passed. So I'm like, all right, well, this will be a finish by end of March and a Writers of the Future kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a future me issue.
That's a future me issue again. I know when to say, future me, you've got work to do. They'll be like, put it on the calendar. We'll see what happens.
And Jesse, you're not wrong. Anytime I had Bob Nog Gognog in Space Pew Pew, it was it didn't like I was adding all sorts of dumb stuff to the dictionary and everything just to make sure it didn't keep outlining stuff. So let's get on some of the other creative stuff here and talk about some of the influences. And I definitely want to get into X-Men, right?
Okay.
So what era of X-Men? Let's put it. What era of X-Men is your favorite in terms of? We'll go just terms of the comics, right?
Okay. Oh, all right. See, I'm kind of torn.
Okay.
Because 90s X-Men, sure, there's editorial control and all that going on there, but there was a lot of fun to be had.
Oh, yeah.
However, I have just as much, maybe not the same level, but just as much love for the recently departed Krakoa era.
Okay. Don't know. Yeah.
Well, then let me fill you in.
Right.
Krakoa is rechristened the mutant homeland, Krakoa.
Okay.
As a sovereign nation ruled by mutants. They tell everybody in the world, they say, all right, we're going to have embassies in XYZ places. We will now sell 3 drugs. A drug that will take care of any sickness, any physical sickness, a drug that will take care of any mental sickness, and a drug that will make you live an extra 5 years.
Okay.
You cannot have these drugs for free, but you can buy them.
Oh.
So that's the first rule. That's the first public rule is all the mutants, not just X-Men. In fact, one of the secret rules is that you can't have an organization called the X-Men because so many villains live on this island. Basically, all of the villains live on the island.
Yeah, I guess so.
So they're like, okay, well, how do we deal with the Avengers? Well, do you want to buy mutant drugs? And they say no. Well, sucks to be you, because the U.S. government wants to buy you mutant drugs.
Right.
Hi. They go out to different countries, and like Wakanda says, Wakanda does not need mutant drugs. Yeah, they basically take control of the planet through economics.
Right.
And then fight all kinds of weird stuff in the way.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy idea. We change nothing about the core of who Apocalypse is, and we make Apocalypse one of the biggest good guys around.
Well, let me ask you: Are the core X-Men involved in any of this, or?
Oh yeah. Eventually, after there was a big interdimensional combat with Apocalypse's kids fighting the modern day people, and Apocalypse was with the modern day people, and they. And I agree with Jesse.
That's great.
More hi-hat. But at the end of it, they get a call for help mentally, Scott and Jean do, and they're like, I don't care if there's a law that says there can't be a group called the X-Men. We're forming the X-Men, and we're going to go over this dimensional playground and kick ass.
Right.
And that's exactly what they do. And then they said, okay, we're going to have every mutant in the world at this big gala of stuff. We're going to have a big party every year. And every year, we're going to have every mutant in the world have a telepathic vote. And they're going to vote on who the X-Men will be for that year. And they actually had fan vote for a couple of the spots in it.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
And they did that vote 3 times. And the third time around, the Sentinels finally showed up and murdered everybody.
Naturally.
Because they couldn't have Krakoa forever. I knew as soon as it started, it was going to burn. But there's so many, what are they doing ideas in Krakoa era X-Men.
Well, it's funny because just the comic industry in general absolutely tanked after the 90s, like totally.
Yes, it did.
So they really did have to throw everything at the wall because and even, my own collection, because I had a large collection at one point. I had about a good 8 long boxes, 9 long boxes of just
beginner,
one after the other. For me, large, but largely all Marvel. I had a little bit of DC thrown in there, and I just pared it all down. But there was so much value within the ones that I had because I was curating the ones that were worth something. And then it was just pennies for all this stuff gone. Yep. And I'm like, well, that was that. But I saved a stack. I have a good foot tall stack of my absolute favorites that I could not part with. Not all Marvel, but among them, my absolute favorite X-Men. So let me ask you before I reveal this one: is in 90s X-Men, or let's go 80s to 90s X-Men, right? Okay. Rank me your give me 5 to 10 of just your favorite characters from that era.
Oh, okay. So I get to say characters of X-Men characters. The
Gambit probably among them.
No.
Right.
Gambit's high on a lot of people's list, and I appreciate and love Gambit just as much as anybody. But I'm the crazy person that says that my top 3 Disney characters, note how I phrase that, all have the same last name.
Okay.
Their names are Nathan, Scott, and Jean Grey.
Oh, there you go.
Right. All last name of Summers and of course the Wolverine fans are after me for blood now. I go, hey, Wolverine is the greatest supporting character in the history of comics. He is. He really is.
Definitely the most iconic. For sure.
Nothing is ever going to beat for supporting character Wolverine crawling out of the sewers to getting ready to kill Hellfire guards.
Right.
Nothing.
Yep. So
that's why he's a great.
Where do you rank Storm? Where do you rank just some of the
90s Storm I'm kind of down on. I'm like, now Rogue, I'm all about Rogue. Yeah. Love Rogue. Oh my god. Now Modern Storm, love the hell out of Modern Storm. Okay. But Rogue, Psylocke.
Yeah.
Even though if people say, "Wow, Cable is a muddied up character," I go, "Psylocke's worse." They had to finally just say, "Screw it, she's two people."
Right. Right. Yep. I'll go. I'll tell you this. So one of the ones, and I had some of the older issues too. So I had the when they split off and they did the characters like 7 or 8 issues or anything else. Wolverine is Canadian.
Wolverine is Canadian, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I had Dazzler's series. I think it was a late 70s series.
Early
And
80s.
yeah, early 80s. It was
Early
right
80s.
around there. It was I know the cover was all disco. That's all I
Oh
really
yeah, no,
remember.
it's early 80s
Yep. But
because there's one issue
yep.
that during Dark Phoenix that has a ridiculous amount of first appearances for a character.
Oh, neat. Yep.
Dazzler, Shadowcat, and White Queen, maybe even Sebastian Shaw, all have the same first issue.
Yep. Interesting. I had I also had Nightcrawler's series as well. I think I still have a couple of those knocking around in there because he was just an awesome character. But my favorite, and the one I still have, the full series of, is Longshot. Longshot was always my favorite X-Man. I loved the power. I loved the storyline of it. What's that?
I lost my audio for a second. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. You missed my reveal.
I did. Okay. You were saying Dazzler, you said Nightcrawler, and then my microphone fell over.
My favorite would be Longshot.
I'll give you a Longshot.
Yeah.
You can have him. He is a fantastic character, if only in the sense that he is his own grandpa.
I know, right? There was that too. That's right. But I just loved the aesthetic of the character. The luck power was just like epic. I thought it was just really well done. The whole thing, Mr. Sinister and everything, like, that was a time where I was collecting a lot anyway. Oh, yeah. But his individual series, I think it was 7 or 8 books, I forget. And I think the artist was, I want to say it was Arthur Adams. Was it Arthur Adams?
Art Adams?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was his for the covers and all that and the work.
Yeah, he does a lot of great X-Men art. He does a lot of great art, period.
for sure. So yeah, Longshot was always my favorite. Just getting through that. But those were epic ones for sure. I also have Spawn 1 through 20 kicking around in my box over there somewhere. And then my other favorite, because I'm just goofy like this and I like Jonan Vasquez. So Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was another one that I collected the hell out of. And he eventually created Invader Zim, which most everybody knows Invader Zim at this point anyway. And that kind of art style and all that stuff. So, do you draw some inspiration from comic stories and the way those stories are told for your own writing?
Some. I do some. I think there has to be an understanding of where powers and abilities come from.
Okay.
So people are like, a lot of people are down on X-Men sometimes because like, oh, they're just going to cheat by saying they're a mutant. Well, all the best characters period, have detailed backstory.
Yeah.
Marvel characters tend to have backstories that say who they are rather than how they got their powers. Like the Fantastic Four's origin is a cheap and pathetic excuse for them to have powers.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Cyclops is all about, ages of isolation and loneliness made into a super introvert who is ultra caring about those around him, even if he comes off as an asshole in the process.
Right.
Because, that's one thing that the original movie got is, prove it. You're a dick.
Yeah.
He is.
Popping in. Zach, greetings, buddy. Other loves Cyclops, might be his favorite superhero. Wasn't a big reader of X-Men, more into Daredevil, Punisher. Definitely had my share of Punisher stuff too. Got to meet Mike Baron in college. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. No, look, the the thing that I always loved about comics was just how, and particularly just like that medium in general, is you have to tell the story quickly.
You do.
There's no time to waste, and it's a lot, honestly, very much like screenwriting, like looking at screenplays and stuff like that, which is something I like to do as an author. Even is just pop up one of my favorite movies, like The Godfather or something like that, and just have a look at the script, and
Yeah.
you get this sense because it strips out everything and you're
Mhm.
just stuck on the characters, who they are and how they're interacting. And it
Yep.
says so much with so little. And it's fascinating to try and apply that to your own writing for sure. So I just love the way comics can really can do that for you. I don't collect much I don't collect any more or anything like that. I'm looking for like one issue, I think, of Spawn to like
Yeah.
complete my 20 through 25 part of it. But they're out there. It's on eBay. You can get it for like $4 or whatever. Like,
If
anymore. It's
that.
not the magic of wandering into that comic store and finding that like golden, issue that you were looking like those are, I mean, are there even, there are comic stores still,
There
but
are comic book stores, and in my experience, most comic book stores that are still running and still thriving, they don't play back issues half as much as what comic
yeah,
book stores are known for.
no,
They're
they
like,
replaced them all with Funko
no,
Pops.
yeah,
That's what they did.
you're not wrong
No,
about the
it's
damn
true.
Funko
It's
Pops.
true. Now
I
it's
say this looking at 2 Funko Pops in my field. I'm sorry, 5,
yeah.
6. Yeah, I got plenty of them in here, so don't worry about it.
I've got a John Wick and I've got a Fallout Power Armor sitting on my shelf over there. So like it's fine. But
Spike
yeah.
Spiegel. I've got Deckard from Blade Runner 2049.
Oh,
I've
excellent.
got 2 Cyclopses and I mean, I got
Right.
them too.
You got them. Yeah, I know. It's just they're randomly everywhere now. So all right. And then your other one that you mentioned in your bio too was video games. And
Yeah,
so we chatted about this briefly in the green room before we
we
started,
did.
because you like the games that I don't play.
Yeah,
You're into the Dark Souls. You're into the.
I'm wearing a Berserk T-shirt. Of course, I'm in the Dark Souls.
Nice. And the one game, like I mentioned to you earlier, that everybody tells me that I have to play is Bloodborne. And I tried it once or twice, and I'm like, this is just hard, and I'm tired.
Yes,
And I'm
it's
like,
hard.
I don't know if I really have the video game fortitude at my advanced age to just sit there and grind away trying to beat a boss for 3 hours and then being happy about it. Like if I do, I'd just be like, I'm just irritated that
See,
it took this
see,
long.
see. That's the trick with Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Okay.
He is all about, actually, I think he's not the only one, but he is all about the experience. Like, he's the one that killed the difficulty slider in video games. You can thank him for that. Or you could come at him with pitchforks and torches, just like in his video game Bloodborne. But the experience of the emotion, man. So it's best explained in the terms of Dark Souls.
Okay.
Bloodborne is its own
I know it's like a separate,
gothic
yes.
Lovecraftian beast, but the explanation on the difficulty is best explained in Dark Souls terms. So most of the characters around you are hollows. They have got this curse. It makes them where they don't stay dead when they die, but they lose themselves more and more when it happens. They look all gnarled up. They've lost their minds. They're crazy. And every time they die, it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening to you. It's not directly said this happens to you. Granted, when you die, you're hollowed and all that. So it's like, wait, I did a character creator just so I could look like, shoe leather? What the hell? That's aside from fun with character creator. But the secret part of hollowing for the character you play is you go hollow when you decide you're not going to play anymore.
Interesting.
It is an experiential version of persistence.
Right.
So the blacksmith character in Dark Souls is one of the friendliest people around. And he's kind, and he's got this kind of somber trying to help you mode, but every time you walk away from him, he always says something along the lines of, "Don't you dare go hollow."
Interesting.
It's his reassurance.
Yeah.
So when you do beat that boss that's killed you like for the dumbest reason 90,000 times, you jump up out of your chair and you scream, "Yeah, I killed you!" And you feel this incredible rush that's like, holy crap, I did something.
Right.
And you feel like it is a personal accomplishment from your soul. It's a video game, and you feel like it's an accomplishment from your soul. So that's, in a lot of ways, like I even just trying to develop a motivational speech once that was Dark Souls as a way to explain the writer's journey.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Don't go hollow.
Don't go hollow.
Because you hear plenty of things like, why the hell are you becoming a writer? You're going to have to do all the damn work, and it's going to suck up all your money. You're not going to get paid worth anything. And then everybody's going to say, where's the next one? And you haven't even had a chance to think of it yet, much less write it. And you've got to do your day job.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to go hollow in that.
Right. For sure. Yeah, the most, I can understand the emotional aspect of that and like succeeding and everything like that. One of the most emotional video game moments for me was having to incinerate the companion cube in Portal.
My God, yes.
I was so mad.
No kidding.
It's like, this sucks.
And it's just got the little heart on it.
And then
Gladys does is want to help and love you.
He's like, you just did it. You didn't even hesitate. You just annihilated. Like
you didn't think about it. You just killed that thing.
Those games are brilliant, by the way.
Oh my God.
The second one with what's his name as the the act from like with
Stephen Merchant.
No. Oh well, yes, as Wheatley.
Oh, you mean oh shit, J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
And
Simmons and his whole speech about the lemons and like,
oh my God,
that game should be required for anybody that wants to write humor into anything they're doing, because it's so brilliantly done,
yes,
and everything. But yes, Stephen Merchant as Wheatley, holy moly, and that's really.
Yeah, Jake, you're right. Of those two, J.K. Simmons is the one to study more because Cave Johnson. Cave Johnson. There's Cave Johnson. We're done here.
That's right. Yeah. When he was people turning into lizard people and whatever, like there were so many things in that were just so subtle and really hysterical. No, but that's good. Look, and again, I'll ask you the same thing I did with comics, but do you, in obviously the analogy of going hollow to writing, that's a thing. But in terms of your writing and the words that you put down, are video games a kind of influence for you on those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, in a very simplified way, I can say also that movies are, because the second book I put out, the first dark fantasy I released, can be summed up as Dark Souls with the movie Prometheus poured all over it.
Okay.
So it's like people go, "What the hell?" I'm like, want to read it? The next dark fantasy I do is just a pure love letter to demon souls, and there's enough difference in there to matter. A lot of the methodology, though, that I've been bringing toward writing comes from another existential video game, or a video game creator, I should say. He popped up really big about 5 years ago, Nier Automata, and it's created by a guy named Yoko Taro, who is batshit crazy.
Okay.
I mean, he always wears a mask. Used to, he would wear kind of like a luchador mask or a boxy robot mask, or he would conduct his interviews via puppet show. I did not make that up. But he's taken
came out about 5 years ago?
Yeah, it
Was
came
it?
out about 5 years ago.
Yeah, 'cause I remember it being around, but it never really fell onto my radar, so.
It asks you at the end of it to make a choice that's like the companion cube,
No.
only it's not a virtual choice.
Oh,
It
gotcha.
is a direct impact on you and your personal effort choice.
Interesting. Okay.
And it runs you through every philosophical reason not to do it.
Right.
And the vast, vast majority of people who, when they get to that at the end, they do it anyway.
Huh. Interesting.
It is I'm not saying what it is on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
In case somebody wants to go play it, because it is some of those like, wait, you're asking me to do what?
Yep. Yeah.
And people do this. So Yoko Taro, crazy as he is, that's him. He had a talk once before he started wearing the Emil mask. That's a character out of the first Nier game. Yeah, Nier Automata is actually a sequel. It's that distant from the original. But his thing that he says in this talk that he gave, which you can find it on YouTube, is he asks what's the most important thing in a video game? It's not the graphics. It's not the controls. It's not the characters. It's not the length of the game. The most important thing in a video game is how it makes the player feel. Well, crap, I could apply that to anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So I need to go through the motions of, hey, power up and feel cool like a video game.
Right.
Which that can be blam in the arm like in BioShock, or it can be stat bumps like in Mass Effect, or what have you. But at the end of the day, I have to make somebody reading this feel something.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the big lesson I take from video games. The little lessons of, what is this cool thing I can do that's absolutely insane?
Yeah. No, I for me, like I'll play them, and some of the ways that the stories are told, some of the scenes and everything else, I always appreciated, like I loved Mass Effect. All of, well, 3 not as much.
Hey, 3 is 99% awesome. 1% being at the end.
That 1% though isn't great. I liked 1 the most. I liked 2 a whole lot. 3, I found myself struggling to just like keep playing it. And then they had the other one that came out afterwards. It was just terrible.
I never even played that other one.
I
heard about the wonky eyes. I'm like,
no, it was
no.
Don't even bother. You didn't miss anything.
Don't even bother.
It's like The Godfather 3. It just like, it doesn't exist really. Let's just forget about it.
I like its original title better, but the studios would not let them have it. It was originally just supposed to be called The Death of Michael Corleone.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. But
Death of Michael Corleone would have been a better movie.
After the first one and the second one, there really was that, like, you peaked. They can't get better than that. So like that's but yes, the storytelling, some of the worlds, the way they're built. I loved Cyberpunk 2077. But I remember playing the board game or the tabletop back in the day too. So like I had a little bit of a connection to some of that.
Right.
But some of the way that they build the worlds, the way that they introduce characters, those are definitely things that I'm always looking at, that I'm like, all right, this is really cool. The way you're injecting this person into it and everything. So I feel like we can always take some good inspiration from it. So let me switch it up and ask you, just in terms of your writing and your creative process, do you deal with having that like creative block where you sit down, you want to get words down and it just doesn't feel right? And then what do you do to get around it?
So I actually was just discussing this with some others a few weeks ago. So that's actually it's like maybe 2 weeks ago at the most. Anyway, so I have a few things that I do. One of them is my newest venture is Gundam models.
Okay.
Because I kind of went to Japan almost a year ago. I saw the one-to-one moving Gundam in person. And I'm like, I have to make something that's about giant robots, please. And I can't cheat and make it a fantasy. No, 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 no. Actual giant robots like this, because this is way too cool.
Yeah.
So they're Gundam modeling. I'll play tabletop games. Sometimes they're like competitive games, sort of like there's one skirmish game that I've been playing for 25 years called Hero Clicks.
I know who. Yeah,
yeah. Sure. I almost entirely play either X-Men, or the occasional Amazons. So I'll do things like that. I draw.
Okay.
Of course, I play the video games that are mentioned.
So
I'm
your brain space to move around by just focusing on another creative effort.
Yeah. I mean, I even if it's somebody else's creativity, I can sit down and watch lore videos or watch somebody else animate or that kind of thing. I got done a week ago doing my stream on building a Gundam model, for a live audience, and turned it off. And I'm like, well, I'm still kind of in this mood. I'm finishing up this piece right here that I already had one of. So I stopped and I turned it on. I turned on Twitch and found a really cool community of somebody. He was a variety streamer. He was working on a Gundam, but then a couple of days later, he was playing a fantasy game. And a couple of days after that, he was playing a different fantasy game. It's like, I'll go dig around for just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, plushy community.
Right.
I've gotten fan mail because of this guy from all around the world.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now, people have fan art of their characters. I have fan art of me and him because of that.
That's funny. Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, there's different ways, but do you feel like focusing on another creative effort basically gives your brain the room to roam within the story that you're stuck on?
It does.
So, I don't want to call it like a distraction because you're doing something that you really enjoy doing. So it's not a distraction. It's just a shift. It's just an energy shift, really, more than anything else.
It's an energy shift. I mean, if I'm not getting raw words in, maybe there's something I need to go and revise. I can switch over to that. Maybe I need to submit a short story. Maybe I need to work on my email, something or other. I mean, I'll find something else in my writing time to do if the writing itself isn't coming.
Right. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times if I shift into editing mode, that tends to kickstart it a little bit. Because like you get into it and I'm like, man, like that was an enjoyable an enjoyable chapter or whatever else. Okay, like maybe, and somebody had asked it, I think it was on Facebook. Somebody was asking about it today, just like, what do you do when you've got that block? And I'm like, look, to me, writer's block doesn't exist. You put yourself in a corner. And the best thing, just like trying to get a car unstuck from mud, is to back it up, find the new path, and gun it and go that way. And it doesn't mean you have to destroy everything that you wrote. Like, take it and put it aside. There might be something in there that you can use, but definitely take that step back to the point where you're like, you know what? Here's where I feel like I maybe I went into a direction that just wasn't authentic for my brain. And things like that. It's interesting because everybody deals with it to some degree or another, but pantsers deal with it more because you're not really paying attention to just like where you're going as much as it is just whatever the whims are. And sometimes your characters are dragging you. It's somewhere where you just don't need to be. So that happens. What about in different just mental states? Like, can you write when you're angry? Can you write when you're overwhelmed? Can you write when you're stressed out? Or are you just like a happy writer?
Depends on what I have as active projects.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
If I am pissed off at the world and I have a character whose POV is pissed off at the world, guess who I'm writing on today?
Lean into it. Yep.
Lean into it. If I'm feeling an amazing self-empowered elation and I want to generate a character that is trying to just say, heavily imply even, wow, my life is improving over the course of the story. Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. It's time to write that character.
Yeah, for sure.
My other cheat is music.
I was
I'm
gonna
a
ask, that
music
was my
writer.
next question actually,
Yeah.
what do you listen to, or do you listen while you write, and what's typically in your ears?
Okay, so I have this weird kind of fusion of 80s pop, 80s new wave,
Okay.
girl, modern girl power kind of thing for the magical girl story I'm working on. But most of the time, especially if I'm doing something epic, hi Hans Zimmer. Which of your many, many, many wonderful things are my listening today? And it's probably Dune.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. That's a lot of people do. A lot of people write to soundtracks.
I do.
That's really common because you don't have the lyrics tripping you up.
Nope.
So, there's usually, and it's typically grand, so it gives you that feeling. The
Can
amount
be.
of people I know like write to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, it's almost like a joke at this point. That just like there's so many that will throw that on. I've heard it so many times that if you put it on, I picture the scene where the music's going. Like I see them
Yeah.
running across the hills, and
Uh,
here's the Uruk High, and like I'm like I can't like anymore because it's too much of an association. It's like trying to write while listening to like the Beetlejuice soundtrack. Like
yeah.
I
It,
can't do
it's
Danny Elfman while I write because he's so
it,
iconic with the
it
film.
right. It gets too entwined sometimes. That's
Right.
why I like having. Oh,
Sure.
we could talk about the Rohirrim all day if you like.
There you go.
If So I got two really cool recommendations, one indirectly and one directly
Okay.
over the years. Delilah Dawson
Okay.
of Star Wars and multimedia and her own work fame. She's been known to write to Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
Believe me, it starts slow, but you will be writing a thunderstorm by the time those cars start up.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
The
Another
doof is
one that,
the guitar and the
oh
drums are
my
going.
God, the Doof Warrior. Yes,
For
yes.
sure.
Another one I got, and this is kind of the wait, what kind of thing is my buddy Michael Weiniger. He mentioned years ago a good one to listen to is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Okay.
The Charlie Hunnam King
Right.
Arthur movie. It's like,
I never
wait,
saw it, but yeah.
right. And I've seen the movie and I'm like, okay. I mean, it's an okay movie and I'm having a really good opinion of it compared to most. But that soundtrack has some good momentum to it. It has some good, if you're just listening to that for the music, trying to get into the rhythm of something.
Right. Tina Turner. I can't listen to Tina Turner and write.
Tina Turner.
No way. I couldn't.
Underdown.
Like trying to listen to like trying to listen to I don't know, any kind of power singer. Like I couldn't write to Whitney Houston. Like it's just,
Oh
it's
God,
just
no.
I can't go there. For
I
me,
have to be in the right mode to do that.
like
I mean, like
certain scene,
like
like there was, there was a chapter that I wrote that had a lot to like. The entire theme of the chapter was love. It was the location was Love Park in Philly. And so before I wrote it, I wasn't listening while I wrote, but before I wrote, to just get into the mood, I'm listening to Al Green and Marvin Gaye and just like some real classics. And I'm like, all right, like, Nat King Cole and all that, just to get into that frame of mind.
yeah.
Yeah, and worked brilliantly. So like I'll use music as a tool. Usually it is like I'm listening to Tool or Opeth or whatever. It's for me, it's like prog metal. Prog metal hits the sweet spot. The song is long. There's limited lyrics. It's a big soundscape. It's
Yeah.
intricate, and I can listen to it and not be distracted.
Yes.
But anything like I can't put on like I can't put on like mbop and write something. Like there's just no way. So for
I
me,
mean,
like
if you want to write the history of Kids Bop, you can try that. But after a while, you might say, "Where's the
remember
strip
how
line?"
you remember how you answered that question. I'm just saying.
You do
Um,
remember how I answered that question on purpose.
exactly,
That's good.
exactly. Look, I have actually put down words to Mozart's Requiem. It is one of my favorite pieces of music.
That's a
Full
good one.
stop, for sure. Um,
I've written to I've written just of older pieces I've written to for release. I've written from based off of To the New World. You give me something that I can get in a groove on, the groove I'm after, I'll be going to town.
And hey, I'll just tell you right now, writing comedy scenes to Flight of the Valkyries works brilliantly. I'm just saying, because it's insane enough of just like hurling yourself into a situation, but you still can get like the humor going. It works all the time. So let me ask you one more question, and then I want to do a couple rounds of pitch storm with you before we wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the last one I want to ask you is there anything that you would change in terms of your creative process, how you work, how efficient you are, or whatever? If you could change anything about your process, would you?
So I'm constantly tinkering with it.
Okay.
Constantly. I would like, if I'm going to be able to get into the dictation, I would really, really like to be more of an outliner, because everything I've heard is outliners don't have to go through as many drafts. And I want to write the book. I want to get lost in the book. I don't want to get stuck in the book.
Yes.
And I have, as a pantser of the past and planner of the present, you can get stuck in a book, and getting stuck in it can get really bad. And it's not necessarily a block. It'd be kind of like, wow, this journey is taking a lot longer time than I had planned or wanted.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's why it's important to know too.
You gotta know it.
Where's the target? Where do I have to land, for sure?
Yeah. I've gotta know who I'm dealing with. I've got to know where they're going.
Yeah, definitely.
And if at all possible, I got to know who they're going to fight on the way, because I like me a good fight scene.
Of course. I love a good fight scene, for sure.
I mean, hey, I'm of the opinion that on average, there needs to be per episode one explosion on average.
Okay.
So if that's a book, that means you need an explosion. I average of one explosion per chapter. If not explosion per scene, probably explosion for a chapter. If it's a TV show, there needs to be an explosion in that episode. You can have the introspective episode. That just means you have to have another episode. It's got 2 explosions.
That's right. It's like an emotional journey, but by Michael Bay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with
I mean, Michael Bay got where he is not by making bad movies. He got there by making The Rock.
Yeah, for sure. And everything Transformer. No, that makes a lot of sense. And actually, let me ask you one more follow-up to that. Just when you're sitting down and you're writing a scene, do you have a preference in what you enjoy digging into the most? Would it be dialogue? Would it be just the scene setting, the world building? Is there anything that you gravitate to where you're like, yeah, this is where I'm having the most fun?
I think I do well. With dialogue. Okay. My dialogue is about click, 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 go. Sometimes I can get a little lost in it. Good friends who have read over my stuff say, oh no, you are all about the description. So apparently my descriptions, like my individual statements on something, are evocative for people. Nice. And I hope they continue to be so.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead, and I'm going to bounce the chat thing out of here. So we've got some room to bring in the Wheel of Doom. Here is the Wheel of
Doom. All right,
Wheel of Doom. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the intro and the rules to this thing real quick with a little bit of music, and then we're going to hit it up. Here we go.
Great.
Next up, we're going to play some Pitch Storm. This little exercise provides us a live real-time look into our guest's brain. This is a fully random event all about creation in real time. I want you to be able to witness that magical moment when the spark of an idea manifests into something awesome and interesting in our world. Guests are given a random character, random plot, and must pitch these 2 things as a story, detailed as their heart desires. Once that 30-second pitch is expired, there are 2 additional rounds with unique twists, and the story gets repitched. The last one needs to be the ending. Audience heckling is always welcome. As a lifeline, I'll give you 2 mulligans, so we can respin anything if we need to. If you're just like, nah, it doesn't seem to work for what I'm doing, that's fine. Just no respinning twice in a row. So if you respin, you're stuck with it.
Okay.
So I have this broken up into 2 wheels for characters. Everything is fully randomized. I took the entire Pitchstorm is a game that's decks of cards. I took literally every single deck and put it into a giant database and then did all this kind of stuff because I'm a nerd. So characters are fully randomized. There's 2 wheels of characters. There's probably about 200 in each one. Same with the plots. Same with the notes, which are the wrinkles. There are, if we add a character, a plot, and two different notes, we have over 4 billion combinations possible. So we're just going to.
I got a lot of writing to do. Gotcha.
Here's the illusion of choice. Do you want to start with A or B on these?
B.
B. All right. So let me head over here, and we're going to give this a spin and see who your first character is to begin this journey. Your character is a dysfunctional family on a road trip.
Okay.
Straightforward enough. Plots A or B?
A.
A plot. All right. What is your dysfunctional road tripping family up to? Oh, the excitement. They are up to fighting an alien warlord trying to dominate Earth. All right. Okay. Yeah, run with that one. When you hear this sound, the 30 seconds is up, and you can start whenever you want and start to form this story, and then we'll have 2 more rounds.
Okay, so my initial thought is that instead of being National Lampoon's Vacation, it will be more like National Lampoon's Alien Conquest Evasion. Hell, if we're going to say if we're going to say it this way already, we could have it be. I could say like a Chevy Chase style character, but no, we're going to have the dad be like Cousin Eddie, as crazy and nutty as possible. But the mom loves him anyway, despite everything else, and she is a technical engineer for the military trying to get in place for the bomb that's going to kill the aliens. However, the kids have been invited on the rigged vacation to meet the aliens in their propaganda sort of meet and greet. Basically, they're going to brainwash the kids. So the kids are they're halfway secret agents working for the humans, and they're getting ready to be secret agents working for the aliens. It's where like their idiot dad.
Kids. Yeah, no, I like
it. Yeah. So the family is going to tear itself apart, and we're not even talking about their pet snake who is getting ready to eat one of them.
All right, so pause there and let's throw in a wrinkle. And so after this one, we got another 30-second round and repitch it with this in there. Consider me the meddling producer who says, let's see it in an abandoned insane asylum.
Well, I mean, that's easy. That's where they got dad out of. And you can't go unless you bring your dad along too.
All right.
Got to bring both parents in order to play. Thruples apparently are discarded by the alien, the alien not quite yet overlords. And the kids, they just couldn't, they have to go. They just have to go. They want to go on this real bad. And mom is like, I don't want you to go, but I have to go so I can blow up the aliens. And dad is like, a little more of the green there. And he's talking about his kids.
Nice. All right. So we're going to go ahead and bring this to a resolution now, right? Okay. So this is our last wrinkle. And tell me the ending on this one. But first, the meddling producer demands one more and says, love it, but let's make one of the characters a Russian spy.
I think we need a re-roll on that because we've already kind of covered that like 6 times over.
A little bit. Yeah, for sure. I can see that. So let's give it a re-roll and let's go. Let's replace every conflict with a dance-off.
I mean, you got to get the attention of the aliens so you win with the opportunity to meet them in person somehow, and why not a dance-off? The thing is, that's also the other reason why if mom wants to get in there so she can place the bomb, she's going to need somebody to dance with, and since the kids are going to be there, they need dad, you need both parents involved, so mom's going to have to bring dad along to have the dance-off so she can drop off the bomb. It might be in her purse. It might be in her shoes. Actually, I kind of like it being in her shoes a little bit more.
Too, yeah.
I could be really dynamic and have it like a scarf that's wrapped up in her hair. And unbeknownst to her, Dad's having one of his moments where he's being flirtatious in the moment. He's like, hey, I'm out of the asylum. And, this time I'm going to have a little of the yellow, and that's that scarf. And he whips it around, and turns out the bomb's in it, flings back at the producers, and they all get blown up. Good thing the producers are the bad guy aliens.
Lovely way to bring that home. I like it. I would say, like maybe hair ties made out of det cord could do the trick.
Right. Oh, I'm going to have to totally steal that now. I'm going to steal that for the magical girl story, though, because they would need that kind of thing.
But like the pigtails with just like the, pigtails. Sure, why not? Hey, do you want to do one more round? Let's do another round. Let's see here. Do.
Yeah, and, I think we have to do another round.
Let's do one more. I usually do two on these. And do you want to switch it up? Characters A this time?
Sure. Flip the script both ways.
Let's go this way and see who our first character is for this one. Let's go astronomer that believes they contacted aliens. Well, we got alien heavy tonight. That's all right. Okay. And which one did we do? Plots A or plots B last time? Which one do you want to do?
We're going to do plots B this time because I did A before.
Right. All right. So you're astronomer. I'm getting like, some contact kind of vibes, Jodie Foster type of thing.
Yeah.
And let's go. Accidentally joins a cult on their first day of college.
Oh, good. This is too good.
30 seconds, man. Give me the setup and let's see where this goes. Go for it.
Her dream was to always go and visit the stars. And when she got contacted by an intelligence from beyond them, she knew her role was set. And that she knew it so much that she found others online, and it turned out that they were a religion devoted to the voice among the stars.
Oh, nice. All right. So wait, so she made contact, but the contact was a religious cult. The star cult.
The aliens have founded a cult on Earth.
That's perfect. All right. No, good. Yep. Scientology vibes, actually. So
I didn't say that.
Let's go with some notes and see what this repitch looks like. Like, wow, every time they talk, it sounds like Tom Cruise. We're going to make this a movie, but with only one actor. So how do we make that happen? Oh. Or do you want to respin it? You got one more?
No. I want one actor.
I'm getting like a whole French artsy kind of vibe with this whole thing.
And because it's artsy, I was debating on who our actor would be, but because it's artsy, I've got to go with, as of today, 2-time Best Actor nominee, Timothée Chalamet. He's the one who could pull it off because, hey, he can be Willy Wonka and he can conquer the galaxy in the same year. And then he can conquer our hearts as Bob Dylan. So yes, Timothée Chalamet will be playing part of it's going to be a guy who's going to do this. We're flipping that around. It's going to be a guy who gets drawn in. He's going to hear the voice from the stars, and he's going to communicate via, let's have it be by Discord group, just to be on. And we'll have it in the style of, God, what was that John Cho movie a few years ago where everything's done through social media? But yeah.
No. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
One man show. Timothée Chalamet.
Discord works, or maybe like a really old like MySpace message board or something. It could be something obscure. Like you can go anywhere with that. I'm down to see that. I'm ready to watch this movie right now. Taking a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and add the final wrinkle and tell me how this flick ends, or this story, or whatever it is. Show. I don't know. It could be anything. How can we make this an Incredible Hulk reboot?
Okay, so the aliens, in their wise teachings, give them the recipe for the elixir of enlightenment so that they commune with one another without need of internet or phone or anything like that. And then they drink the elixir, and at the moment of absolute clarity, it's like Uber steroids. They turn different colors. It might be green. It might be gray. It might be red. And boom, smash. It's World War Hulks, which was the name of the comic storyline.
I like it. I like it. I would definitely pay a couple bucks to watch Timothy Chalamet get beat up by some Hulks from space. Take that with your weird alien cult religion. Well done, sir. Well done. I like it. See, the fun thing about that exercise, and I love putting everybody through it for sure. It's a little bit of a hot seat feel, but the thing is, these, especially the way you described how your creative process works and how you try to interconnect all these different things. So the brilliant thing about this and putting you through it is we get to just see that in real time.
Right.
And like how your brain works and, oh no, this and oh no, this, and oh no, we're going to do it like this. And so I see you connecting Griswolds to spy stuff to whatever else and all these different things. I feel like this is an exercise that writers should do from time to time, even if it's a little uncomfortable. And I've had people that say I'm really terrible at thinking of things on the spot, and that's okay. It's like, it's just a different kind of practice and a different kind of
that's why there's re-rolls.
Brain itch. Yeah, for sure. And you can re-roll it if you don't want to. I do have people that come on and they're like, there's no way, I don't care what it is, I'm not re-rolling it. I'm like, well, you might be in for it, but like, we'll see.
Well, I thought that too. And then I saw, wait, we already did that.
Yeah. One of them is like, Gandhi in a wingsuit was like doing some weird thing. I'm like, look, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Just
I'm game.
Story, run with it. And it's all good. So Len, I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap up.
Sure.
It's the last question that I ask everybody, which is for that writer that's out there that is perhaps having a hard time, that is struggling with imposter syndrome or having some difficulty getting their words down, and that sees somebody that's written multiple books and has been at it for a while. What piece of advice would you offer to that person that's trying to get to a place like where you are?
Let yourself rest. Let yourself relax. Don't force yourself. Put random word downs if necessary. And at the end of it all, don't go hollow. Yeah. Finish up what you're going to write and don't go hollow.
Brilliant callback, sir. I appreciate that for sure.
That's what I try to end everything on.
No, that's good. That's good. I like it. And that's excellent advice. I still don't think I'm going to be playing Bloodborne. But I might, what I might do is just watch somebody play it and just try and get the satisfaction that way and see.
Hey, I got a call out to my buddy and big time supporter, Jack Johnson. He is not play Souls games.
Yep. But
he loves gothic horror stuff.
Yeah.
He played Bloodborne start to end.
No kidding.
No kidding. He even went out of the way for the subplot in the vampire castle. It was the one place he actually really got hung up. But he doesn't play those kind of games at all.
Yeah. They're just, it's one of those things. Some of us are built for them. I know people that are just, they want 100% it without a death and everything. And I'm like,
that's not me. That's not me.
There's no way. There's no way.
Death is a teacher.
You can't make me do that. Yeah, it's impossible. But no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the great conversation, and so thank you for letting me peer into your brain for a while here.
I'm glad there were hinges on it.
And for sure. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up real quick here and hang out with me, Len. I'll talk to you in the green room for a minute afterwards.
Sounds great.
So, folks, thank you for tuning in, spending some time with us tonight. Special thanks to Len Berry for being a great sport and a wonderful guest. The music's good, right? Yep. I'd highly encourage you to check out all of his work. Links to all the things are in the description of the video on YouTube and Rumble. If you would be interested in being part of the MIRTH community and a guest on the show, it is very easy. Head over to mirthquake.show for all the details, and hopefully soon we will be prying open your brain and throwing it on the internet for everyone to stare at. Yeah, I usually time that better. Okay. All right. So thank you, everybody that hung out. Really appreciate it. And thanks again, Len. And I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. Thank you. Cheers, Awen. Really appreciate you being here as well. And have a good night.